The dark night of the soul. If you are on the spiritual journey, you will no doubt go through a dark night of the soul. Come with me as I explain how to get out of that and find again the light. The light. When someone has an awakening, generally, the first long while after that awakening is extremely exciting. You're discovering new things about yourself. You are learning how to handle your ego. You are finding ways to be happy that you never imagined were possible. You may even feel that you have finally beaten parts about your personality or things that you do in your life that you don't like. You finally beat them. And it's true, actually, in many ways. You did beat them when you had that awakening because you started yourself on a journey. What happens to so many people is that they are not quite ready for what an awakening really is. You see, when we're sleeping, we have dreams. They can be good dreams. They can be nightmares. When you awaken from that dream into this life here, you'll realize that nightmares, they're not confined solely to dreams. In fact, the more awake you are to the beauty that you have inside you, the more asleep you might be to understanding that it's still just as bad out here as it was before. So the dark night happens when the soul gets to a point where it stagnates, or it feels like it stagnates. You've been growing so much lately that when you stop growing and things don't seem super happy and chill, and it's confusing almost to you because for the past however long it may be for you, everything has been amazing. But what's really happened here is that you have come into an awareness of the truth. The truth that there is no such thing as perfection. There is no such thing as right or wrong. In fact, I've said this many times. There is no right, there is no wrong. There only is. And however we perceive that, that is the truth of what it becomes, what it is. And when you're awakened, you see everything under a magnifying glass. And a magnifying glass that's on the spiritual end of things. So it's looking for these spiritual answers. It's looking for miracles. It's looking for all of these things that exist. But just because you've had an awakening does not mean that they will become your entire life. An awakened person has the unfortunate obligation of facing the world head on for what it truly is now, and not whatever you thought it might be at some point in your life. When you were sleeping, you could overlook things, like that homeless guy on the corner that you pass. But after your awakening, it's much harder to ignore these things. And when you, like say you want to see, or you see a Volkswagen Beetle, right, for the first time, then all of a sudden you see it everywhere. That's what this is like. And it can be overwhelming, especially for the first time that you go through it. Many people during the dark night of the soul revert and go opposite of what they've learned in their awakening because it's painful, it's depressing. It seems like you're in the middle of a Great Depression. Not the Great Depression, but it seems like I thought I was awake. I thought I was spiritual. I thought things were going to be good. And they will be. But you have to hold on tight and not stop growing. That's the thing about being awakened. First of all, I don't really like the word because it implies that we believe we're better than someone else who's asleep. It's kind of the opposite, because after an awakening, then we start to look at ourselves critically from a spiritual, egotistical standpoint. And personally, it makes me feel like less better. It makes me feel less than other people sometimes, but not in the way that you would think. I just mean in the way that a servant is greater than a master, because the servant gives all for someone who is not them. In this way, I find that after an awakening, we are less than others. And so, I can only tell you to hold fast, to stay true to the things that you learned during the initial awakening. Continue to dive deep. And during this period, it would be good for you to explore the darker sides of you, the things that are manifesting during this dark night. That way, you know the ins and outs of who you are. You know yourself from origin to ultimate. The darkness in you gives the light substance. Without it, you would have neither. For your eyes cannot see something unless the darkness exists for the light to penetrate and to reflect off, bounce into your corneas, and send signals to your brain. Stay true. The dark night of the soul will end, and you'll be all the better for it. If you have questions, please let me know. Please share the video if you know someone who could benefit from it. I love you so much, and as always, my friends, be still.